The alien scientists tried for 5,000 years. A human teen solved it in minutes. The Vault of Ashenmar had stood for 5,000 years. Carved into a moon that orbited a dying star, it was older than most civilizations currently spacefaring. Inside its crystalline chamber floated a single equation, the Ashenmar constant. A problem so complex that entire species had built their scientific institutions around trying and failing to solve it. The Council of Elyra, a coalition of the 7 oldest star-faring races, had inherited the vault when they inherited the galaxy's respect. Ancient, wise, patient beyond mortal comprehension. Their scholars, beings who lived for centuries, whose minds processed information faster than light through fiber, had thrown themselves at the constant generation after generation. They had failed, every single time. "It is unsolvable," declared High Scholar Venetrax, a being of silver skin and 7 eyes, each one having witnessed 1,000 years of failure. "We have accepted this. The vault is a monument to the limits of intelligence itself." And then humanity arrived. Earth was young among the stars, barely 2 centuries into interstellar travel. To the Council, humans were curiosities. Loud, impulsive, short-lived, with lifespans barely long enough to finish an education before their bodies began to fail. "They build starships with the recklessness of children," Venetrax often said, watching human vessels dock at the Elyra station. "They speak before they think. They laugh at inappropriate moments. How could such a species contribute anything of value to the vault?" But protocol was protocol. Every species admitted to the Council was given the chance. One attempt, recorded for posterity, to view the Ashenmar constant. The humans sent a delegation. Scientists, diplomats, and, almost as an afterthought, a group of exchange students touring allied worlds as part of an educational program. One of them was a 17-year-old girl named Maya Chun. The delegation entered the vault with quiet reverence. The Council's greatest minds had gathered to watch, not because they expected success, but because human failure, they assumed, would be swift and almost comedic. "Do try not to touch anything," Venetrax said, his tone dripping with condescension he didn't bother to hide. "The equation has broken minds far older than any of you." Maya wasn't even supposed to be at the front of the group. She'd wandered up while her chaperones discussed formalities with the Council elders, curiosity pulling her toward the shimmering equation suspended in light. She tilted her head. "Huh," she said. "That's just a Mobius recursion with a phase shift error." The chamber went silent. "Excuse me?" Venetrax's 7 eyes all turned toward her at once. "It's not unsolvable," Maya said, half to herself, pulling a battered notepad from her backpack. An old paper one, the kind humans still carried out of nostalgia. "You guys have been treating it like a linear problem this whole time, right? But look," she pointed, tracing a line of the glowing equation with her finger. "It loops back on itself here. You're not supposed to solve it forward. You solve it sideways." "That is impossible," Venetrax said, his voice tightening. "We have modeled every conceivable approach across 5,000 years. "Yeah. But did you model it in reverse time symmetry?" Maya asked, not looking up from her scribbling. "Because if you flip the temporal axis, the recursion collapses into something way simpler. It's actually kind of elegant once you see it." The elder scholars exchanged glances, a mixture of offense and disbelief passing between beings who had spent centuries, some of them their entire adult lives, dedicated to this singular failure. "Child," Venetrax said carefully, "this problem has consumed the greatest minds of 7 civilizations." Maya shrugged, still writing. "Maybe you guys needed someone who didn't know it was supposed to be impossible." For 11 minutes, the chamber watched in stunned silence as a human teenager filled page after page of a paper notepad with equations that flowed differently than anything Elyran mathematics had ever produced. Intuitive leaps, strange shorthand, a kind of reckless creative confidence that no 500-year-old scholar would have dared. "There," she finally said, holding up her notepad like a kid finishing a math test. "I mean, I'd want to double-check the constants with an actual computer, but yeah, that's your answer." Venetrax took the notepad with trembling hands. His 7 eyes scanned the handwritten scrawl. He didn't speak for a long moment. This is... His voice cracked, ancient composure fracturing. This is correct. The vault's crystalline chamber, sensing the solution had finally been input into its systems by a technician nearby, began to hum. Light rippled through the equation floating above them, reorganizing, resolving, collapsing into a single, elegant answer that had eluded 5,000 years of the galaxy's finest minds. A chime rang out, soft, resonant, ancient. The vault had never made that sound before. Venetrax lowered himself, an act no Elyran elder had performed for any being outside their own species in recorded history, into something between a bow and a collapse. 5,000 years, he whispered. Do you understand what you've done, child? Maya blinked, suddenly uncertain, glancing back at her chaperones. I just thought it looked like the kind of problem my calculus teacher gives us for extra credit. Extra credit? Venetrax repeated, and something in his ancient voice cracked between disbelief and laughter. An emotion he hadn't expressed genuinely in longer than he could recall. He looked at her, truly looked, not as a curiosity, not as a child from a young and reckless species, but as something he had no framework for. We approached this problem with the accumulated wisdom of centuries, he said slowly. We were so certain that age and experience were the keys to unlocking it. But you, he paused. You approached it with nothing to lose. No fear of being wrong. No weight of 5,000 years telling you it couldn't be done. Maya smiled, a little embarrassed by all the attention. Honestly, I just really like puzzles. Word of what happened in the Vault of Ashenmar spread across the Council worlds within days. Not as a scandal, not as an embarrassment, but as a revelation. Humans did not solve problems because they were smarter or faster or more advanced. They solved problems because they had never been taught that some things were impossible. They asked questions no one else thought to ask, simply because no one had told them not to. Venetrax kept Maya's handwritten notepad in his private study for the rest of his long life, not as a trophy, but as a reminder. A reminder that wisdom sometimes looks like doubt, but genius often looks like a child, unafraid, willing to try. And for the first time, the galaxy understood what it truly meant to be human. If the story moved you, subscribe for more human stories from the stars.